Welcome to a brief tutorial on Infinite Campus and standards grading at Miller Middle School. Standards grading is the way your child is being evaluated on the standards that are being taught at his or her grade level. Let's start by talking about what the marks are for standards grading. There are 5 marks. These marks start with EX as exemplary, which means that your child is able to demonstrate an understanding beyond what is expected in the standard. PF is proficient, meaning that your child can understand the skills that are needed for the standard, but not go above and beyond that knowledge base. IP means in progress, meaning your child can demonstrate some of the understanding for the standard, but they still may need help. BG is beginning, meaning that your child can demonstrate understanding, but he or she may need help getting started or help along the way. And finally, IW means insufficient work, which means that your child may have demonstrated some very minor pieces of this work, but not a lot of information or understanding has been developed at this point. There is one other mark, which is NA, which means not applicable, and we will talk about that on the next screen. So let's talk about going to Infinite Campus. When you are in the district website, there is a link up here for Infinite Campus that is for the parent portal. So once you go in and once you have a username and a password, you can have your browser save it for you if you'd like. If you do not have a username and password, you can set that up through our Media Center specialist, Bob Gilbertson, here at Miller Middle School. But once you get in there, you sign in like you would for any of your children in any school. And then you will need to select a student, and I have 2 students currently at Miller, so I will select one of my daughters. And then I will go to grades. And then once I'm in the grade report, you see your current grades, which are those 5 marks. Now remember, in the past, what you had seen under traditional grading would be letter grades like A, B, C, D, and F. And now, though, that was a total summation type grade, a grade that would talk about all of the subject area, and it was also a way to basically separate students. Well, now what we are facing here with standards grading is a more personalized approach. So now you're seeing exactly what your child's standards are, and then you're seeing the grades that those students, your child is making based on those standards. So here with my daughter, so here are some of her grades and her classes. In PE, there are 6 standards, and she has EX for the first 4 in quarter 2. The other 2 have not been assessed yet, but they are not finished yet. In other subject areas, again, she has PF or EX. Now, in these areas where there's an NA, that means that for that quarter, that standard was not evaluated. So that is why there is an NA. It's a placeholder there for you as the parent, so you know that it has not been evaluated that quarter. So, for example, in composition, under this standard, which is, writes well-chosen facts, details, and examples, in quarter 1, she earned an EX. In quarter 2, it was not evaluated again. So sometimes they are evaluated again, and sometimes they are not. And of course, the goal with standards-based grading is always to continue to improve. So while she might have had an IP, which is in progress, quarter 1, now she is proficient in quarter 2. So with standards grading, there is no deadline. You don't stop learning. It is a continuation of learning, and it can be constantly evaluated throughout the year. So again, not a deadline of you must have this in by such a date and it's over and that's your grade. This is learning that is deeper knowledge so that your child can grow in their understanding, and these marks reflect that growth. There's also, in standards grading, there is also an evaluation based on the standards alone. So that is the very academic parts of the core area that your child is learning about. There is also, what we have done at Miller is we have also added a couple of behavior standards. So being on time, prepared, and actively engaged demonstrates respect towards others. These two will be graded either as a C, which means consistently, an O, which means occasionally, or an R, which means rarely. So then you, as the parent, also know based on your child's behavior how they are doing. With that being said, if you have other questions, please forward an email or ask a question of one of our principals. And I thank you for tuning in to learn more about standards grading at Miller Middle School.